Welcome back to another segment of Inside Her C-Suite. We didn't go inside of the C-Suite today. We brought our guest inside of this C-Suite, and we're so fortunate to have on today's show a lawyer and advocate, otherwise known as the fashion lawyer, Sumaiya De'Mar. Welcome to Inside Her C-Suite on Kicking Doors.
Thank you, Timothy.
It's really good to have you because I know from having conversation and researching your work that people underestimate the legal side of entrepreneurship, and there's so many people out there trying to make it happen, from literally designers, fashion designers, entrepreneurs who are coming up with new concepts, entrepreneurs that are working very specifically in areas such as the creative space in general. And they are making themselves vulnerable by not taking care of the legal side.
Absolutely, and it's so important to solidify the handshake because many creatives do business just on a handshake, and after that things go wrong and then there's no legal documents in place. So it's very important to have solid legal contracts from the outset. So whether it's your employment contract, whether it's your partnership agreement, everything needs to be done from the beginning.
Let's go back a bit. You're from Durban, you're in Cape Town now. Why do you care about this? You could go and you could make a zillion rand somewhere. Why do you care about this sort of creative space and making sure that the creative entrepreneurs out there are covered?
Because they leave themselves open up to risk, and I've worked in both the legal field and the fashion industry, and I know all of the gaps in the fashion industry and I can see it happening. So I really would like to help them to plug in those gaps so that they don't leave themselves open up to risk, because obviously, bigger companies try and undermine them a little. So it's very close to my heart to actually help them in identifying where those needs are and helping them meet those needs.
When you say, solidify the handshake, what does that really mean? You mean put together a one-pager with terms? Make it really, really simple for us.
Yes, even if you are a model or a high-powered exec, you are dealing with other individuals or a different company. So it's very important to have a memorandum of understanding or service level agreement just to set out the terms and conditions between both parties, and it protects both parties. So it would say what you are meant to do and what the other party is meant to do, and the costs involved, the timelines involved. It's very important to have these things actually done.
Let's go break down an example of a service level agreement. What's at the top?
Service level agreement.
Top service level, SLA.
Yes.
Next?
And then it gives the parties' names and often the identity number or the company registration number.
Okay.
And there are a lot of clauses that South African law requires for a contract to be legal. Some things are just standard and it needs to be in there, therefore contracts are so long. But aside from that, there are the deliverables which both parties need to actually sit down and discuss and agree on, and then you put it into the contract and then you sort it.
Got it. If you have an influencer agreement where that person, the company is leveraging your personal brand, how specific should the agreement be?
It should be as specific as possible, because there are so many sponsorship contracts where people do trade exchanges, obviously, and it's very important to get as much detail down.
So more detail is actually
better.
Wow. I think that, from back in the day when Michael Jackson was, an ambassador for Pepsi in those days, it's fascinating how each individual, I see people who, that's all they do for a living, is that they sit on Instagram and they post people's clothes that they wear, and they can make a really good living doing it.
Absolutely.
So what do you call that person? Is that person an entrepreneur? What are they?
They are an entrepreneur in their own right. If they are making money just by social media, then I would say that, that's one form of looking at it.
Okay. And your interest in the creative world, as a lawyer advocate, do you design?
I do design as a passion, so it's my little hobby, passion project.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And just tell us quickly, where can we, if we go to your website is, will we find your clothing and the legal stuff, or you have two separate websites?
You would just find the legal stuff. It's safashionlaw.co.za.
safashionlaw.co.za. And where can we find the creative stuff?
The creative stuff, mostly on my Facebook page or Instagram, so yeah, that's my play.
And what are the details of those pages?
It's Sumaiya De'Mar if you type in Sumaiya.De'Mar.
Okay, and we'll have those details up. But let's go back to the entrepreneur. So for someone who's starting out a venture, and we really believe in getting out there, getting your hands dirty and learning from experience. And I'm sure that the legal stuff matures as you go.
Yes.
But is there anything that is fundamental from the start, that is critical from the very beginning?
I would say as a creative person, a confidentiality agreement or non-disclosure agreement is absolutely crucial, because if you have to do business, say if you have a brilliant idea that you would like to have produced or need collaborators on or to pitch to somebody, and you don't want anybody to steal your ideas or copy your designs, etc. So you would get a non-disclosure agreement in place and both parties sign so that you know that the idea belongs to you, the concept belongs to you, and you are protected from the get-go.
Oh wow. And do you recommend that every entrepreneur has some sort of legal relationship with someone like yourself from the beginning, or is it okay just to call up random attorneys to get advice? I mean, what do you recommend from your
I think random attorneys are going to be quite costly, so it is important to have somebody from the beginning, like me, as well as I often see when I take on clients that their previous contracts are actually quite shocking, because they download a template from a website somewhere, and that's an absolute no-no.
Give us 3 tips, okay? I want to know 3 tips for the entrepreneur who they've been doing it for about a year or 2. They don't have anything in place and they are scared after this conversation, okay? They physically are freaked out. So give us 3 things that they must start with, like now, like as soon as the show is over.
Okay.
Yeah, they're putting the TV off and they're going to do these 3 things.
Okay, firstly, they need to, whether they have registered their business or not, that remains to be seen, but register your business if you haven't done so already, because it's actually quite important for legal purposes as well as every other purpose. So register your business, that would be one. The second one is look through all of your contracts. Like I said, if you are employing people, you need solid employment contracts. If you have a partnership with somebody, you need a partnership agreement. If you have intellectual property that you need to protect, have your non-disclosure agreements in place. And I would say don't be too intimidated if you don't have all of these things in place, because you can always get them in place.
Okay.
Because 2 years in, it's not that difficult. It's just very important and should not be underestimated.